Hi, Python starters, and today we're looking at how to use strings in Python. This time we're going to be looking at Python on a Raspberry Pi. So Raspberry Pi comes with the idle interface and Python pre-installed. So I'm going to come up here, go over to programming, and come down here to Python 3. You'll see idle, the integrated development environment for Python 3. It's actually an integrated development and learning environment. So, all right, let's start learning about strings. So strings are text that is between a pair of either single or double quotes. There's a couple of examples. So hello and then world. You can also make strings by putting two string literals next to each other, and those two will automatically be concatenated or combined together. Now you can't do that with variables, but we can also store this information in a variable, so we'll call it welcome string. And we can do something really interesting where we can put multiple lines of text in here. There we go. Now you'll notice there's a \n in the middle of this string in a couple places. This is the new line character. And one way we can eliminate that is simply by, at the end of each of these lines, we can simply put a \, to remove that new line character. And so I'll want a space in here. There we go. There you go. So you can put long text sentences and messages into a string. And what's great with strings is there are many built-in functions in Python to work with strings. So for example, you can treat a string much like an array, where you can address it by an index. So you can index strings. So here we're going to take a look at the first character in the string. So the string at position 0, which is the first position in an array. Now I can look at the character at the 10th position, for example. The other thing that I can do is I can print or capture parts of a string, or work with parts of a string using what are called slicers. So I can say from 0 to 2, and it's a 0-based array. So there it says we. I can also do that same thing by, instead of putting the 0 index, I can just leave it blank. So by default, it starts from the beginning, goes to 2. There's a couple of examples of some things that you can do with indexing and slicers. Now, what's interesting too is you can also do this kind of in reverse, where you can start from the end of the string. So I can say -1, which will give me the last character in that string. And I can do other positions as well. Let's try another one here. There we go. And I can combine these strings together with other text. So I can say welcome string equals welcome string plus, maybe I want to add an exclamation mark at the end of this sentence. So those are just a couple of ways that you can interact with strings. You can index them from the beginning or from the end, working backwards. And there are some nice built-in functions in Python. For example, len, L-E-N, len, or length, returns the number of characters in the string. So put this in, we'll say there are 82. And so now let's try this out. So I can say 82 minus 1 because it's a zero-based array. We'll see that's the very last character in that string. So that's a quick overview of strings in Python, and we're going to be doing a lot more with strings. For example, one of the things that we will do is use the input command. I can store user input equals please enter some information, and there you see I mistyped that, so let me just, as you can see, Python is case sensitive, so I need to go back and correct this. There we go. And so now we can enter some information. And we can take a look at that input. And there we can see that it came in as a string. Now, if I reran that same function, so let's try that again. If I put that in here and request some user input, and let's say they enter a number like 65. One thing you'll notice when we go to look at that is it's actually showing quotes around that 65. And if we look at the type of user input, we'll see it's a class string. And we'll talk a little bit more about types in a future discussion, but just wanted to give you an intro to that. So there is a quick overview of strings in Python on the Raspberry Pi. Thanks so much for joining us, Python starters, and we'll be back soon.